All right. Here we go, people. Welcome to the lookout. Today is 11th. And just getting a couple things set up here, folks. There we go. Okay. All it takes me a minute to figure out how things are going here. Got a new kind of program set up for streaming, and it's a little confusing. But looks like we're live, so see someone's heart float up there. All right. Well, I was on the road last couple of days for a project down in Sonoma County, and I couldn't do the live stream from my hotel room, so hope what we posted worked for you guys. Fire's kind of been not super active the last couple of days, so I haven't had a ton of stuff to report, but let's see here. Starting a chat here. Talked to a friend up there, and he gave me some pretty good intel the last couple of days, so there are a few things to talk about with what's going on with the fire, where the potential still lies with the fire, and where good progress is being made. So I'm going to jump in. I got some kind of cool stuff to share with you guys here. There's a satellite that I use that goes over every 5 days. So, and it's pretty high resolution. And so depending on whether or not it goes over while your fire's active, you can get some kind of interesting things out of it. So got some imagery taken yesterday, the 10th at noon. And it it's good for seeing where the fire's active. I think oftentimes we see this big shape on the map and we think the whole thing's hot, and but that's not really the way forests burn. Forests burn with outward spread. So and I think a lot of people kind of intuitively know that. But what you can see on this image taken yesterday at noon is you can see where the fire's hot, and this perimeter is from last night. The red is kind of where the fire got to by the end of the day. So yesterday at noon, and white is where the fire was at midnight the night before. So here we're looking up. Here's Etna down in the bottom here, and Deacon Lee Place, and the ridge to Patterson, and Patterson Creek up in here. And so you could see that yesterday at noon the fire was backing its way down into Patterson, and by the end of the day it ended up where this red was. The night before last, the fire had it had what we'd call a belly here, where this part in the middle hadn't burned yet. So yesterday the fire kind of backed in and filled in this gap a bit. Still don't know really how much that's filled in, but they mapped it this morning as being out here at the perimeter. So what's interesting here is that to see that the fire really, between the night before last and last night, didn't really spread down canyon on this side of Kidder Creek. So one thing I talked about early on in the fire was that I thought that this fire potentially was going to burn this whole area of Mill Creek, Shackelford, Kidder Creek. And what happened was the fire burned up to the, it kind of ran without any suppression up to the top of Kidder Creek here. And it got into some kind of decomposed granite, which is kind of sparse and harsh. Let's see if we can just turn off. So the fire, it kind of went up into this sparse brush and rock, and it kind of hung up there. And I talked about how they weren't engaging right off the bat in here because of the kind of extremely hot weather and danger of putting people up above an active fire like this. So it sounds like the night before last, they made the call to go ahead and engage on this ridge between Shackleford, or between Mill Creek and Kidder Creek. So Kidder Creek camps down at the bottom here. And so they put dozer line up this ridge, and you can see there was, on the imagery from before, there was already kind of an old dozer line up this ridge. And so they extended that, and so this the team that's on this fire posted some of their fire lines to the mapping, the share website, where you can publicly access some of their data. So see that by last night, this is where the dozer line had progressed to, and I imagine onward through here, but this hasn't been mapped yet as being done. At some point up here, they've got to go to hand line because it's too difficult to dozers. Let me see. I think got the hand line here. We'll make that. I will make the hand line blue. All right, yeah. So they have dozer line and then hand line, and then here is the fire. So this part of the fire was active last night at midnight. The hand line had progressed last night at 9. The hand line had been progressed up to here. So I don't really know what happened up in this portion of it today. The other but down below that, even though this infrared shows that it had slopped over here, it sounded like it had not crossed their lines from the intel I got, which is kind of pretty good source, but I don't know if he actually made it, how far he made it up there. There was a dozer line that got put in earlier over here, kind of between Kidder Creek and Patterson, and that's now kind of inside the fire. So this sounds like it's been going well. The tough part here is the fire had been spreading down here by Kidder Creek trailhead. So for them to turn this corner and tie in this part, it sounds like they have had crews going direct on that. I don't really have great intel on where their progress is with that. But I want to go back to our cool satellite imagery here. You can see yesterday at noon that there was quite a bit of active heat on this flank right by the Kidder Creek trailhead. So if they manage to kind of get this all tied in and through here today, that's a really big win as far as keeping it out of Mill Creek. The difficult thing here is that up in the wilderness area, I'll turn off these, there was still a lot of heat. Sorry, I got all kinds of stuff open here. There was quite a lot of heat yesterday when this image was shot up near the PCT in an area where they haven't been able to get any crews into because they'd have to get through the active fire to get to it. And so today, looking at the satellite imagery, it looked like this part of the fire was quite active. And so if you look at, so just to kind of orient you, here's Etna, north is to the top, here's Whiskey Butte, and the fire started out in here originally and then spotted over and made this big run in Kidder Creek. But this is still a problem here because it's difficult to access. They can use helicopters if the smoke clears out, but there's not great access. They can't get dozers in that far. And so there's still potential that this fire will kind of run up and over into Mill Creek anyway, and it still might be, the fire still might end up burning into Mill Creek regardless if they kind of pull off this pretty heroic stop here in the lower watershed. It still might burn the upper watershed. So what was going on today in the big picture of the satellite was you could see that this part of the fire was active. And so the MODIS, which is not super accurate, that's within a kilometer, right? The cells of those. This says it was pretty confident that it was in that location. So it looks like this basin here pretty much burned out this afternoon. And if that happened, it likely spotted over the PCT and over the ridge into Mill Creek. This is the divide between Mill Creek and the other side, the Salmon River side. So this is still kind of the weak link in determining whether or not kind of my initial prediction of the fire getting here into Upper Kid or an Upper Mill will actually happen. In the meantime, while that's been going slow, they've put a ton of dozer line along the toe of the slope. So here's Quartz Valley, Mugginsville, Kidder Creek Camp. All this black is dozer line that's been put in the last like 3 days or so. So they've really skirted a lot of that. And looking at the incident action plan, they may try to fire some of these lines. Like some of the assignments in the incident action plan are to prepare some of these lines for firing. I really am not appraised on what the strategy is there, and I wouldn't go out and say like that they're going to fire this all. Depends on what they're able to do going direct on parts of this when the fire is not active. Looking at the MODIS today, it looks like, and the other heat satellites, can't really tell accurately how far the fire's progressed down. The worry definitely is that here in Patterson Creek is that if the fire does cross the bottom of the drainage, it can make a slope-driven run up this side, kind of as it did here. And if that happens, it will be pushing hard on this dozer line. So they basically built this box. I'll pull up our proposed, let's see, complete pan line, proposed line. They've been working on building a box around this whole side of the fire, and I don't know how much they've gotten done here between Whiskey Butte and Babs Fort Creek. But the plan here would be, if they get favorable conditions, to fire off this box to try to contain the fire before it pushes here. And that's kind of like, they want to take that on their own terms. They'd rather be able to start firing up here and have their fire backing off their line than have the fire cross the slope here and make a direct run hard up at their line. I heard today that they're starting to go direct in here in Patterson Creek on this part of the fire. I haven't got a lot of other confirmation on exactly where that's happening. Let's see, jumping over to some other stuff here. This is last couple hours today on the Fort Jones camera, and it looks pretty dynamic over there. Like a lot of smoke here in the backcountry on that part that we're talking about blowing up, but down in here it's pretty dang chaotic with the kind of westerly. You can start to see a little bit of flamage there along the horizon as the sun's going down. And so difficult, with it being this hot and dry with winds like that, it's really difficult for them to go direct in timber, even if they're kind of favorable at the bottom of the slope. And one of the reasons for that is this area up here has been burning for several days, and with dead and down logs and everything else and kind of steep ground, it's real easy for the fire to roll out down the mountain. And it's really dangerous to be working out there and have the potential, when you're working mid-slope, for the fire to get down below you and run back up at you. It's a way that a lot of firefighters have died. So that's kind of the summary for what I've got right now. We'll get fresh intel overnight. We'll do a briefing for you in the morning. I'm curious really to see what happened today out here in the backcountry and whether or not the fire did become established in Upper Kidder Creek, because they just really don't have a lot to work with. And even on their maps, they're not really showing proposed line up here in this portion of the PCT. They're showing a proposed line to run up from Kidder Creek up the ridge to kind of contain the fire if it comes into here. But I don't really have much intel on like how far that's progressed. They've also got proposed line to keep working this divide on the divide, Mill and Kidder divide. But as we've been talking about, depending on how much heat is down below in here, it's a dangerous place to work people. Let's see what Still trying to figure out. I got this new program. Streaming, people. Give me a second here. Anyway, it's nice to get out of town. We're working on a project in Sonoma County that's a fuels management plan for a new regional park, and it's a pretty nice spot to go. It burned 7 years ago, so it's like 10-foot tall thicket of bay and madrone and lots of poison oak. And I only feel itching in a few spots on my chin. So give me a second here, just figure this stuff out. There we go. All right, I figured it out. Cool. It's a map from a couple of days ago, but it was just showing the completed dozer line at the base of the slope. It's showing the different divisions. So we'll have a better update tomorrow. And for now, thanks for your support. It's been nice. People buying some hats and mugs and other stuff. Sent us a couple donations, and it really makes it all possible for me to do this stuff. So I appreciate it a lot. So I'll see you guys all tomorrow morning.